Welcome to Encouragement Thursday for the month of May. This month I'm going to be talking about blind spots. Now, everybody has blind spots, but what we may not realize is that those blind spots affect our relationships negatively, both at home and at work. And so this month I'm going to be talking about those blind spots. I'm going to give you some tools to recognize them, and I'm going to give you some keys to overcome them. So let's get going. Have you ever had an argument with somebody and then later thought, what was that all about? Why did I even, what was it even over? Sometimes I can't even remember what started it. But the fact is, everybody gets triggered at times. But what you may not realize is that those triggers come from our blind spots. And so blind spots can cause us to react to people in a negative way because we don't realize they're even there. Now, you might be asking me, well, what are blind spots? Well, what blind spots are simply aspects of our personality that we don't recognize or we don't see. And yet, those parts of us can affect negatively other people as we argue with them. And so I know for myself, for years, I had a blind spot around the fear of failure. And so anytime somebody would challenge me, and maybe they would come after me and challenge what I said or what I did, what would happen is I would get angry. I would even argue over not being angry. Even though I was angry, it was a blind spot for me. I didn't realize that they had touched on this part of me that was so embedded in my heart. And that's what a blind spot is. It's something that's embedded in your heart deep, but you don't know it's there. And so when it gets triggered, you get angry about something and it can cause an argument. So in a very real way, blind spots cause arguments. So this week, I'm going to be encouraging you by providing 2 tools that will help you discover what your blind spot is. All right, so number 1, here's what we can do. You can look back to move forward. Hindsight is 20/20. And what I want you to do this week is to look back at the times you get defensive. You see, what happened with my blind spot with that fear of failure is simply that I would get defensive. And so if you look back and see what makes you defensive, you will start to recognize a pattern as I did in my life. That pattern will point to your blind spot. So for example, if you get angry every time somebody doesn't do what you think they should do, or they don't do it the way you think you should do it, you may have a blind spot of trying to be perfect. And what you want to do is challenge that part of you. So look back, look on hindsight, examine what triggers you, and then you can move forward. Now you might be asking at this point, Mark, is every conflict my fault because of my blind spot? No, not necessarily. Sometimes you're bumping up against somebody else's blind spot. Now, we'll talk more about that next week, but just to say this week, you can't change other people. It's only your responsibility to change your own self. And I often say, if you change your mind, you change your life. And so I'm challenging you this week to change your mind about some things. The second thing you can do is you can actually go and discover what your blind spots are. I have a blind spot assessment that I'll post in the comments with a link, and you can go and take that test. What it's going to do is it's going to show you your strengths, but also what potential blind spots come out of those strengths. And so that's going to help you. And so I'm really encouraging you to go do that this week. I want to say right here and right now that blind spots aren't necessarily bad or evil, but they simply are things that we can't see. You don't know what you don't know. And so by discovering them, it's going to really help you. However, they can damage your relationships. I know that I've grown when I found out what my blind spots were. I was able to grow and repair relationships very effectively. So I needed to know what my blind spots were. And this is why awareness always invites choice. So once you have awareness about it, now you can choose how you want to react to it. So this week's challenge is pretty simple. It's simply to look back, look at those patterns, have a look and see what was making you get defensive, discover those blind spots, go take the test in the link that I put in the comments and see what your strengths are so that you can discover where your blind spots. You'll get a report sent right to your email box, and it's going to give you all kinds of fantastic information. So this month, as we look at blind spots, I really want you to take the opportunity to dig down deep into your heart and find out where yours are. And then it's going to help you also discover where other people's are. And we'll talk more about that next week. So thanks for joining me. We will see you next week. Remember, my book's out. You can get it on my website. Talk to you later.